Fear is older than language. Before humans learned how to speak, they learned how to fear. The darkness, the storm, the roar of unseen animals in the night, these were not ideas, they were threats. In a world without science, fear was not explained, it was felt. And from that fear, something powerful began to take shape. Imagine standing under an open sky thousands of years ago. Thunder crashes without warning, lightning splits the darkness, the ground shakes. You do not know what causes it, you cannot control it, you cannot stop it. To early humans, this was not weather, this was intention. Something wanted to be heard. Fear was not weakness, it was survival. Those who feared danger lived longer. Those who ignored it disappeared. Over time, fear became more than instinct. It became meaning. Humans began to search for reasons behind what they could not understand. When crops failed, fear asked why. When disease spread, fear demanded answers. When death arrived suddenly, fear refused randomness. The human mind could accept danger, but not chaos. Everything had to come from somewhere. Everything had to have a cause. In this search for cause, humans began to imagine forces greater than themselves, not out of curiosity, but out of necessity. Fear does not stay silent, it demands explanation, and when explanation is missing, imagination fills the gap. Early humans did not ask, "Does a God exist?" They asked, "Who is responsible?" The wind that destroyed shelters, the sun that burned the land, the river that flooded homes. These were not natural events, they were actions. And if there was action, there must be an actor. This was the moment fear became belief. The unknown was not empty, it was alive. And what is alive can be spoken to, feared, respected, and eventually worshipped. Fear gave shape to the invisible. Lightning became anger, earthquakes became warning, fire became punishment and protection at the same time. Early humans did not separate emotion from nature. Nature felt alive because it felt personal. Fear also created patterns. Humans noticed that after certain rituals, things seemed to improve. Rain returned, animals appeared, illness faded. Correlation became confirmation. Fear turned coincidence into truth. Over time, fear needed structure. Random terror was unbearable. Belief gave fear rules. If gods existed, then they could be pleased. If they could be pleased, then fear could be managed. This was not blind worship, it was negotiation. Offerings appeared not as generosity, but as insurance. Sacrifice was not love, it was fear-driven control. If something powerful ruled the world, humans wanted its attention, or at least its mercy. Gods were not born perfect, they were shaped by human fear. Angry gods reflected violent environments. Merciful gods reflected stability. Vengeful gods appeared where survival was harsh. Gentle gods appeared where life was predictable. Fear also needed morality. If disasters happened, someone must be at fault. Humans began linking behavior to divine response. Obedience became safety. Disobedience became danger. This belief served a purpose. It created order. Rules backed by fear were stronger than rules backed by logic. When gods watched, behavior mattered even in secret. Fear turned belief into discipline. Children learned early. Fear of gods was taught alongside fear of fire and wild animals. It kept communities united. Shared fear became shared belief. Shared belief became identity. As societies grew, fear evolved. It was no longer just fear of nature, but fear of judgment. What happened after death became the ultimate unknown, and fear followed the soul beyond life. If gods controlled storms and sickness, surely they controlled fate after death. The afterlife became an extension of fear. Punishment and reward gave meaning to suffering. But fear was not the only force at work. Fear opened the door, but comfort stepped inside. Once gods existed, humans found reassurance in them. If fear created gods, hope kept them alive. Prayers were born not only from terror, but also from desire. Desire for protection, desire for forgiveness, desire for meaning. Fear asked questions. Gods answered them. Over time, fear became tradition. Traditions became rituals. Rituals became religion. What began as instinct turned into doctrine. Gods gained names. Stories formed. Myths explained origins. Fear was now wrapped in narrative. The unknown became familiar. As fear softened, reverence replaced terror. Gods were no longer just threats, they were guardians. Yet fear never disappeared, it simply changed form. Even today, fear remains at the center of belief. Fear of loss, fear of death, fear of meaninglessness. The ancient connection between fear and faith still exists. But this raises a powerful question. Did humans fear gods because they existed, or did gods exist because humans feared the unknown? The answer may not lie in choosing one side. Fear did not weaken humanity, it shaped it. Through fear, humans learned to imagine. Through imagination, they learned to believe. And through belief, they learned to survive in a world that offered no explanations, only experiences. As fear slowly transformed into belief, belief began shaping the human mind in return. Gods were no longer distant forces tied only to storms or darkness. They became watchers. They saw what humans did in private. They remembered actions. Fear expanded from the natural world into the moral world. This shift changed everything. Humans were no longer afraid only of what they could see. They became afraid of what they could not escape. Thunder could be avoided by shelter, predators by fire, but judgment followed everywhere. Fear became internal. This internal fear created conscience. Humans began controlling themselves even when no one was watching. The idea that something greater observed all actions created a new kind of discipline. Societies no longer relied only on force. Fear of divine consequence was enough. As this belief spread, gods became deeply human. They felt anger, jealousy, pride, and forgiveness. These traits were not random. They reflected human emotion. Early humans understood emotions better than natural laws, so they explained the universe through feeling rather than logic. If a god was angry, disaster made sense. If a god was pleased, prosperity followed. This emotional framework allowed humans to interpret the world without science. Fear turned unpredictability into narrative. But fear also created hierarchy. Some people claimed closer connections to gods. They spoke on behalf of the divine. Their words carried weight because fear backed them. If gods spoke through humans, those humans held power. This marked a critical transformation. Fear was no longer only between humans and gods. It flowed through society. Leaders ruled with divine authority. Questioning them meant questioning the gods themselves. Fear became institutional. Temples rose not just as places of worship, but as centers of control. Rituals became mandatory. Obedience became sacred. Disobedience became dangerous. Fear was no longer wild, it was organized. Yet humans did not resist this system because it gave them something powerful in return: certainty. In a world filled with death and unpredictability, Belief offered explanation. Fear felt safer when it had rules. Gods explained suffering. If pain had purpose, it was easier to endure. If loss had meaning, grief became manageable. Fear gave humans a reason to keep going. As societies evolved, fear adapted again. It became philosophical. Humans began asking deeper questions. Why do we exist? Why do we suffer? Why does death feel unfair? Gods became answers to questions fear could not silence. Some gods promised justice beyond life. Fear of injustice found relief in judgment after death. If wrongs were not corrected here, they would be corrected elsewhere. Fear turned into hope through belief. But fear never fully disappeared from faith. Even gods of love carried punishment. Even gods of mercy demanded obedience. Fear remained the foundation beneath devotion. When belief systems spread across regions, gods took different shapes. In harsh environments, gods were strict. In fertile lands, gods were generous. The environment shaped fear, and fear shaped gods. This shows something crucial. Gods were mirrors. They reflected human experience. Fear was the brush that painted them. As writing emerged, fear was preserved in texts. Stories of punishment, floods, destruction, and trials filled early scriptures. These were not fantasies. They were emotional memories of human vulnerability. Fear also protected tradition. Beliefs survived because questioning them felt dangerous. Fear guarded continuity. What ancestors feared must be respected. What gods demanded must be followed. But fear also created conflict. Different groups feared different gods. Belief became identity. Identity became division. Fear of losing divine favor led to competition, exclusion, and sometimes violence. Despite this, belief continued to evolve. Fear softened with understanding. Gods became less physical, more abstract. Natural events gained explanation. Science slowly replaced some fear, but not all. Even as humans understood storms and disease, fear found new forms. Fear of meaninglessness, fear of isolation, fear of death without purpose. Gods adapted again. Faith became less about survival and more about comfort. Fear still opened the door, but now it shared space with love, hope, and connection. Modern belief still carries ancient fear within it. The language has changed, but the emotion remains. Fear of being alone, fear of being judged, fear of disappearing. The question remains unresolved. Did humans create gods from fear, or did fear reveal something real? Perhaps fear was not a mistake, but a tool. It pushed humans to imagine beyond the visible. Fear made humans storytellers. Storytelling made them believers. Belief made them communities. Gods may not have been born from certainty, but from vulnerability, from standing small beneath a vast sky and needing the universe to care. Fear was not the enemy of faith. It was its beginning, and as long as humans feel fear, belief will continue to evolve alongside it.